What's up, hobby friends, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. Wow, I should have really breathed, a breath of air before doing that intro. But that's okay, because we're good now. We're going to talk about some hobby stuff. We're going to talk about some hauls, I guess, some things that we found that we purchased and gotten recently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. I'm going to start with my little haul.
Yeah.
I went to the Goodwill store, as I want to do, and did my normal laps through the store, always checking out the games and puzzles, seeing if I can find anyone just straight up putting a box of Warcry on there or something. Hasn't happened yet, but we can dream. And I did find like a Halo Wars game there once. And with like little Master Chiefs and stuff in it. I didn't buy it. I'm like, I don't like Master Chief that much. He isn't that cool. Then it was gone the next time I went there. Anyway.
Yeah.
Point is, walking around Goodwill, and let me show you my haul. All right. This thing here is an electric bug zapper, and this will make sense in a second. So I watched a video about making a do-it-yourself static grass applicator.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So those little fuzzy little grass tufts, not tufts, but like flock, but not the powder flock, but like the ones that are like 2 millimeters long, little tiny pieces of stuff.
The tiny grass tufts that stick up. They stick straight up, and they're little and they're puffy. You buy them from Army Painter and from a million other places.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, the idea is you put glue on the base and then you drop a little grass on there, and it's supposed to stick up and look like grass, but normally it just like lays down flat and looks like a pile of crap on the base.
Yeah.
But like what you're supposed to do is rig up a whole electrical appliance to create a static field so that all little pieces of grass, why it's called static grass, so they all stand up and actually kind of look like a field of grass.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just one of the little tools in this hobby that is way down the list of things that anyone ever actually buys.
It's like a luxury tool.
Yeah. It is definitely a luxury tool. They're like $80.
Yeah.
Most people don't really have a use for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it also takes a little bit of skill because you need to like set up a ground wire underneath your target and everything else. But yeah, so the static grass applicator is, I don't know, a positive charge in a handheld appliance, and then you run a ground underneath the base with the glue on it. And if you get it all right, when you dribble some static grass on there, it sticks up and looks cool.
Yeah.
And I've seen it on YouTube videos. I have never seen a person do this in real life. Never, ever.
That's fair, actually. I've never seen somebody do it right in front of me.
I don't even think I've seen a mini that has successfully had static grass applied to it. I've seen lots of minis that have unsuccessfully used static grass.
Yes.
Lots of people just take those little, take a little pinch and just drop it on their base, and it looks like the most trampled, nasty, every which way pile of crap you ever seen.
Yeah.
And some people are starting to point fingers at each other, over there on the internet. I see you. Partners are looking at their other partners. The gaming buddies are looking at their gaming buddies' opponent's army, You're like, you didn't use your static grass applicator.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of poorly applied static grass out there.
I mean, that's fair. Anyway, that's fair.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Long way of saying that I watched a video about how to make your own static grass applicator, and the YouTuber is starting with an electric bug zapper.
Yeah.
Which is also something I had never seen before in real life. It looks like a small tennis racket or a badminton racket if you live in Quebec. But it's a little tennis racket that has a battery pack and a USB connector and several switches on it, and then like a trigger button. And well, it works. I definitely zapped myself there in the Goodwill aisle.
Yeah, that's you just to make sure.
You turn it on, it goes snap, 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 snap.
Nice. Okay, that's good.
But yeah, the idea is you take one of these, you disassemble it, you replace the tennis racket bit with like a strainer or a sieve from the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then you have created yourself a static grass applicator for cheaper than $80. Is the idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had never seen a bug zapper before in real life, and I walked into the Goodwill aisle, and it was like the exact model from the YouTube video I watched early in the day. Yeah, like that day I had watched that video. Like, I've never even seen one of these things.
Sometimes the stars
wandering
just
around Goodwill, and there it is. Like, all right.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for an update on whether I can make a static grass applicator or if I just hurt myself.
Either way, it's going to be awesome.
Either way.
Hopefully you can get it to work, though. I mean, it seems more promising than maybe I would think initially. Like, it turns on, you can see the actual electricity in the, in the actual use for it right now, in the racket part. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't hurt yourself. Please don't do that.
It also has a little light.
That's great. What do you need? It's to see if you got it or not? Like,
to see if I zap my own fingers.
Yeah. That's convenient. LED light. Maybe that might actually come in handy when you're doing the static application, but otherwise that has zero use. I don't see the point of that. But no, like, so I have a static grass applicator, like a nice one. That is like $150 one that I was gifted from a store a long time ago. And I've tried it loads of times, and I don't know if it works or not. Like, the light turns on, and like sometimes I feel like, hey, this grass looks a little more staticky than usual, but like it's not doing what I see it like when Luke, back in the old Geek Gaming days. The APS days even, doing tables full of static grass, and it's like, wow, that looks really cool. And it's clearly static grass, right? And it's like, wow, that's really great. Why isn't mine doing that?
So you haven't gotten it to work. You got to get your ground wire set up, right?
I got Casey? A ground wire. I got a little like nail attached to like put next to or in the glue or whatever. I don't know. It seems to sort of work. Like, it's definitely staticky on the actual like cup where the grass is, but it doesn't make any sounds or like it doesn't feel like static. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I can tell it's working. I don't know. Maybe I just need longer static grass. That is something too. There's a lot of different sizes, and if it's too small, it doesn't really look staticky. So I don't know. But that seems pretty promising, and I know a lot of people go and they buy the contraption and the battery to make their own applicator. Although you're right, you don't really ever see people using them.
Well, I'm about to break that ceiling,
Well, yeah, but then you'll just be the guy that everyone sees that it works in that video, and they can't get theirs to work, or they just don't know. I don't know. These mythical people. I don't know if you're real.
I'm gonna make a good thumbnail with this electric tennis racket. I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah,
I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah. Best hobby product 2024. Like, first thing out the gate.
Yeah, $4 at Goodwill, and this is the first time that the checkout counter lady at Goodwill said, "Oh, that's really cool." When looking at my selections.
Wow.
Yeah. You're like, oh, that bug zapper's pretty cool. You're like, well, wait till you see what I'm going to do.
Yeah,
with it.
I'm gonna tear it apart. turn this into something completely different.
Yeah, the grass on the bases for my 14th century archers is going to look so good.
So real.
Yeah, you just wait. Now, the checkout lady did not comment on my other find, also $4 at Goodwill. This is just a hard case. It's a hard plastic case, and I'm going to use it to put minis in there. I'm going to put some foam in there. I'm going to put some minis in there. It's going to be like my travel case.
There you go.
Get like a couple of skirmish teams in there. Make somebody play like Space Station Zero and Relic Blade and... Or really, it's, I'll travel around with it and not actually play games, but like I'll be ready. Ready.
Yeah, as you do. Like,
like as we do.
Yeah, that's true. Last year at Adepticon, I think I brought 2 kill teams, all of my Relic Blade stuff. Didn't play a single game. Not a single one. I did get the stuff out, and oh yeah, cases. It's a case that fits in a backpack. So you have a really nice little travel case there. It's like a headphone case or something. What did I use? Actually, the case that I used was a Magic the Gathering card holder. So a deck box that was just to zip up, but it's a hard case, and then I put Games Workshop foam in it. One of the kind of like universal foam things, not the pluck foam, but the like movable foam like lengths. And that works really well, actually. That worked great. So
it looks like a good case, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, I mean, protects the Magic cards, protects the minis.
All right. So that's the end of my trip to the Goodwill. You gotta walk around looking for inspiration, and sometimes you find some finds, you know.
I'm surprised you've never seen the fly swatter thing. Those have been around for years.
Entirely new to me.
I see them at thrift stores all the time.
The only time I've seen it is in those videos of how to make your static grass applicator for cheap. And hopefully they don't make me think though the next time I see it, or less than $4 new. Yeah.
Oh, they're like $25, I'm sure. You'd see them like as seen on TV. They'd say it all over the packaging, and I don't know if that one does, but yeah, they're not that expensive, brand new. Anyway, certainly much less than a static grass applicator. Like the cheapest one on Amazon, still like $50. Yeah. Now Goodwill's kind of hit and miss. It depends on the people that work at the store that you frequent. Sure. Because they have because it's a for-profit company. They're not like trying to help people, you know. There is no goodwill in Goodwill, if you will.
I don't know.
No, I mean, this is just like a widely known thing. No, they have their own version of eBay.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they take all the stuff that they find that's actually worth money, and they auction it off on a website. Yeah, they sell everything else behind glass if it's actually worth money, and they don't sell it for cheap. So, like, finding Warhammer models in a Goodwill feels next to impossible.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
Kind of sucks. Yeah, I stopped going to Goodwill a while ago when they started charging, like, $6 for a used DVD. I'm like, okay, that's enough of that. Like, if I can't pour through these and be like, these are $1 a piece, this is not the right place. Yeah.
All right. Well, what have you been up to, Casey? Give us something.
Man, I've been painting some space wolves. That's what I've been doing. Yeah. Yeah. The old CNC coins and collectibles eBay store. I've talked about this guy before when I bought a bunch of the really old kind of messed up Space Marines, and I bought a bunch of stuff from this guy to the point where, you know, he's sending me messages and telling me when he's going to put discounts up for certain auctions, right? Because he knows what's going on. I'm buying these and I'm, you know, making videos and stuff, so he knows all about it. But he had these really cool Space Wolves, and they're like the early 2000s ones that they're small Marines, but they're the coolest small marines. Like normal Space Marines, you know, especially the old ones, they're whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. But for some reason, well, I mean, I know the reason, but the Space Wolves ones all have like custom pieces, right? So like their heads are different. They're more different than like any other Space Marines at the time. They have little bits of extra things dangling off of them that just make the models a little bit more interesting. They're, I don't know, they're just, they seem not quite the same size and scale too, which is weird because they clearly are, but they feel more correct in that smaller size. I don't know. It's like you have to kind of just see it like one next to each other, but they're really neat. And I found some really nasty ones, and I'm gonna strip them and repaint them because that's what I do.
That's what makes you happy.
Yeah,
that's what you do.
But yeah, I've been doing that a lot. I've been going on this like huge 3D printing journey lately. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into it too much with the uniformation. The printer's great, so there is that. And I'm gonna leave it at that. But I've just been using it like constantly since I got it. And yeah, okay,
and then
yeah, I've just been having a time of it with the people I've been working with at Uniformation.
Is this the same one that told me if I didn't do a Black Friday ad read that they would get fired or have their pay severely reduced?
It is the one and the exact same person that said that to you. Yes, I've been having a real time of it.
They go hard
with her.
They go hard.
I'm telling you. Well, they got me, okay? And they sent me the printer. So I didn't want to see that poor girl get fired, you know?
Their career is in your hands now, Casey.
Apparently it is. And I guess I don't know. Like, look, when I get an email from a company, it's generally pretty straightforward. They're like, hey, you make a video in whatever manner that we've all determined is okay, and we give you thing. Like, okay, it's a good way to do it. You know, and sometimes there's money involved, sometimes there's not. It just depends. But it's like, I told them, hey, I'll do an ad spot for you for 60 seconds, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but she also told you if you don't do 60 seconds ad spot, like specifically, that she would get fired.
It something was a little like jumbled, that. But you could definitely put, like, if you were trying to translate that email, yes. That would be one of the translations a reasonable person could arrive at. Yes.
Yeah, right. And that's what I'm getting at. It's like, so that was the idea. That's what I said, hey, I will do that. And here are examples of things that I've done in the past. If this sounds good to you, then let's move forward. And they're like, this is so great. We want you to be our person for like the next 3 months. And I'm like, I don't know about that, but let's do this one first, you know? So they send the printer, they send all this stuff. And I like the printer. It's good. It's very good. But then they're like, they sent me this letter afterwards going like, well, we don't understand. Like, you didn't make a full video. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I did. I used the printer in the video. Basically, they're not happy with me for some reason or another that I cannot understand. And
did you not see the Orc Knight? Do you not like the Orc Knight?
Right. I did print those pieces out.
The little goblins on the Orc Knight's shoulder pads? What's the problem here?
Yeah, I don't know. But I don't know. It's just like I keep getting these emails from this person like asking for more things, and it's like I am so confused that I feel I'm so over 3D printing companies right now. But that all being said, like using the printer, great. It's great. And it's made me want to actually print things because they're coming out decently. So it's a real weird conflict. I'm feeling conflicted on the inside, and I don't know how to feel about it. But I've been printing out a bunch of like one-page rules minis. What?
Well, it's pretty funny that if a company just lets their product speak for itself,
Yeah.
often you will have better things to say about it than if they guilt you by saying that they'll be fired if you do not make a full video in time for their Black Friday sale.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the I like a lot of it is it's a language barrier. Like we've certainly worked with people from other countries that are working for whatever company. And it can be difficult to communicate because of time differences and a language barrier. But I've not honestly had too much trouble specifically with companies in China until now. Like other ones have been okay, you know, a little bit off here and there, but like you get what everyone's on the same page. This one, it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I can't explain this in a different way because whatever is being translated isn't working. There's just something being lost. And it sucks. Because like I like their product and I like their stuff and I want to be in this ecosystem of 3D printing with them, and they're just like, but now we hate you. It's like, why? I don't understand.
Well, Casey, look at it this way. After they lose their job, they probably won't have access to their corporate email account anymore. And they'll slot in somebody new who will start absolutely fresh with you. Just clean slate. So,
oh, I know.
There you go.
Well, you know, if you don't do that 60-second ad spot for them, then obviously they're going to lose their job. So yeah. We all will share a bit of the blame on that one, I think. I mean, we tried really hard to make sure that was going to go through in the last one, but you know, it is what it is.
I'm still using their competitor's printer.
I mean, so am I. Like, it's the thing. Like, it's not like I'm going to use what I have because I like the things, but like, I don't know. It is what it is. But I've been printing out these dwarven guilds from One Page Rules, like really cool dwarf minis that are like just the right amount of detail, you know, like where they look like they're going to be fun to paint. I have no idea if they are, and I've already printed like 60 of these things. So we'll see.
I think you're going to have a great time.
Yeah. But I got them all like they're in peach right now because they sent me, for some reason, that's the other thing. They sent me white resin and peach resin.
White is the worst.
Yeah. And I'm like, you just send me gray? And they're like, no, we have different colors. Like, no, can I have gray? No. Yeah. No, you can have white. And it doesn't even say peach. It says lightish red or something. So it's like orange, but light orange. It's peach.
I don't mind that color.
No, it's not bad. Like you can see all the details when it prints out. Yeah. But like white, you can't see if there are imperfections or extra pieces or anything. Yeah, you can't see anything. So definitely a big deal. Like I printed out a huge like tank thing, which is cool. Like I've never printed out something almost
these
all
are
at the same
future
time.
Dwarves, right?
Yeah, they're space dwarves for sure. Yeah. Space dwarves.
Yeah.
Although you could go either way with them depending, because especially some of the guns look kind of like blunderbussy, you know. They got tubes on them and stuff, but if you painted them fantasy themed, it'd be fine. You know, like Caradron overlords and stuff. I could definitely slot in a lot of the units for that if I had like airships, you know. Although I've been wanting to paint that army for a long time, and I have lots of that army, and I've only ever painted like half of one of their gun hauler ships as a conversion on an orc model. I've never actually painted any of their models, so yeah, it's kind of disappointing. It's one of those things I've wanted to do for a long time, and just like I bought one of the Christmas boxes like 5 years ago. I still have it. So the pile of shame for sure. Someday.
Someday. All right.
But yeah.
I actually did order from Warpfire Miniatures a Christmas box or a pre-order, so we'll see if they actually get the right number in and it goes through or not. But
which
I've
box
got a good feeling.
You get?
The Slaves to Darkness, the Chaos Warriors one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of which one. Like, what would you get? So it wasn't the Space Marine box or the other Space Marine box. No. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. The Slaves to Darkness box. I'm gonna have to look at the stuff again for this year. Was it decent? I mean, Slaves to Darkness box.
It's always decent if they're actually models that you want, but
yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I mean, I know some people treat it like a massive holiday, like the the holiday boxes from Games Workshop. Some people treat that like that's Christmas, but it's you know, they're decent deals if you actually want the stuff in there. So
yeah,
compared to the boiling frog of their normal pricing structure. But yeah.
The thing that kills me is like, you know, we talk about luxury hobby things like you know, a static grass applicator. Yeah. And on the like low end, a working one from Amazon is $50, right? Yeah. These Christmas boxes, I think now, what are they, $250?
It was less than 200 because I got it from
they have like a 30% off or whatever. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Man, they had a Dominion box for like 110 forever on their website.
Well,
I never bought it. Somebody
True
might
Warrior
have. It might still be there.
We're cycling back to that. Oh, a quick update. I did look into, was it the monthly subscription or weekly subscription or whatever it is for when you get the Dominion box piecemealed out to you, plus they throw in some paint colors you don't want. What's it called? The Imperium mailing box.
It doesn't actually. Storm something or other. I got the paperwork around here. Somewhere.
The catch, that because I was reading some of the fine print to see, okay, what's the catch? And the one that noped me right out was to cancel. It's not a web form to cancel. It's you call them or email them to cancel. Yeah. And probably not actually that difficult, but it's like, that's
pretty annoying.
That's like canceling a gym membership, isn't it? Like this is not going to be as easy as we want it to be. This is not get the first 2 months free and then nope out of it. This is get the 2 months free and then procrastinate on like dealing with an actual human sales.
Well, somebody else brought this up too. Commented after I'd mentioned it last time, but I guess because they ship out like different issues with different parts and pieces like 4 times a month or something. Yeah, it's supposed to be, right? But you get the first 2 months up front.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting a lot more than maybe you realize. And it seems like you're getting a good deal. And it's like, I mean, technically, I think it still works out. Because, I mean, it's not like super cheap, but it's not overly, I don't know. It's one of those subscriptions. If you can do it, you can do it. But they combine the shipping, or they split it up each time. So it's like, oh, we charge you $2.50 a week. So actually it's $10 a month just for shipping, on top of the like 10 or 15 or whatever it is for the subscription. But they don't clearly state that up front. Like they make it
Well, yeah,
seem
let me-
like you're
let me know
only
how
going to
it
get
goes,
charged
buddy.
once. Yeah, I know.
Let
I
me
mean,
know how it
you know,
goes.
for just research purposes, I'm gonna
Yeah.
stick to it. You know, finally got my first stupid Warhammer Plus model. I haven't even gotten it in the mail yet, or I guess it's for pickup at the store. I don't know. But I redeemed it because apparently I missed out on the first one somehow, and it says I can't redeem it anymore, which I don't really understand. If I can redeem the second one and I haven't redeemed the first one, why doesn't that work?
So yeah, if you're trying to redeem stuff like a year or two late,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to be canceling that auto bill subscription service.
That's fair.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, no, that's fair. No, in this case, it's fine. So
All right.
just
All right, you're out
consider
there
it a
learning and taking one for the
write-off.
team, and I appreciate it.
yeah. Now we'll see how that goes.
All right. So I have been painting without washes, and that's just something I've been doing for a better part of a year now. And I'm working on a video about that, and it's basically, I mean, that's the summation right there. You don't need to paint with washes.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, essentially, I think the reason a lot of us like painting with washes is because, you know, the wash is a magic liquid and it does the work for you.
Yeah.
And you know, just goes into all the crevices and, you know, defines things, shades things, all that. But the more I think of it, like, what's the reason people really like it isn't just because it's faster, but it's also doing a lot of the thinking for you on the shading step.
Yes.
So what I've been doing more and more the last year is just trying to paint in the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Paint the underside of things, paint between the legs, paint the under the arms, under the chin. And that requires a little more thought and just the ability to make some artistic executive decisions that you don't have to make with a wash.
That's true.
And like, it sounds stupid, but that's actually a big step for me. Like, I don't think of myself as an artist, no real artistic training. And so the wash is appealing because it's very formulaic. You base coat the mini, then you throw a wash on there, that's your shading. Then if you get a little bit of paint bravely inside you, you can do some highlighting, maybe a little bit of layering to highlight up the top side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But we really, or at least a lot of us, have been trained to not think about the shading. The wash is going to do the work for you on shading. Just throw it on the mini, see what happens. The wash knows what it needs to do. The wash will take care of that for you. And so I've been trying to move away from that because it gives you more control if you are deciding deliberately where the shadows go.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a little bit scary, but if we're willing to paint bravely here, we can say that, no, I'm going to say that there is a shadow here in the armpit.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, well, I'm putting my feelings onto, quote, a lot of people, but I was definitely very nervous about where does the shadow start and end?
Yeah.
And should there be like a hard line between the shadows? And, would this part really be this dark? And, oh my goodness, this is like 5 shades darker than the base coat color. And, but as I've been doing it more and more, I've slowly gotten the confidence of if you trust the process, if you follow it through, the overall effect is going to look fine. There's going to be medium spots and dark spots and bright spots on the mini. And by following a few simple rules, like, is it on top of the mini or underneath the mini? Like, is it in the light or not in the light?
Yeah.
Like, you will generally, even if you're not an artistic person, just following basic rules, you'll be able to get an effect that essentially looks like it should. And so anyway, that's what I've been working on, is trying to express that in a video of just, I've base coated a mini. Now I'm going to take some darker shades of my base coat colors. I'm going to slap them on the underside of things. I'm going to use paint and a paintbrush to draw the shadows, to outline some shapes, and that's what I've been up to. And I'm feeling good about it. Feeling good about kind of expressing the idea of going beyond the formulaic 1, 2, 3 base coat wash, maybe highlight.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I think it's a big, important step, actually, for a lot of people. Like, when you realize that the wash can be, like, not the best thing. It's not going to do what you want it to do every single time, right? Like, sometimes, when you put it on, it looks really good. And a lot of that is because it's wet. The water is giving the colors more saturation. It's giving the lines more saturation, so the darks are darker. Right, it looks better. When it dries, it doesn't look like that. So I think that's a big part of it, is when the wash goes on, you get this idea that the model looks like a certain thing when it doesn't.
Yep, that's part of it too.
And when you don't use a wash and you start making those decisions, then you really get to do kind of whatever you want. And then when it looks like that, and it's like, oh, that line is dark now, it's because you put it there. And it doesn't change. Right? So it actually looks better. Like, it always looks that good. Not just when you apply the wash looks good.
Yeah. So, I have observed that anytime you put paint on, it's normally a few shades brighter because of the wetness than what it dries down into. But washes, when they dry, the overall look changes dramatically between wet wash and dry wash. And a lot of times the wet wash will give you the idea of like, okay, this is going to dry into something that looks pretty good. Whatever it dries into is vastly different than what it looks like wet, but oftentimes it is like, okay, like it is slightly darker in the places that I want it to be darker.
Slightly, yeah. I mean, like, you throw Nuln Oil on something, you throw that black wash on something, it's like, it looks really good until it dries, and then it's like, oh, now everything's just 2 shades darker, and the shadows are slightly darker than that, Like, it's not great. Now, I think that obviously there are plenty of good uses for washes, and they're still important to have if you want to use them in certain things, like, because they just work. Right? You want to get the light coat of something over something else to do, whatever. Like, I still like to use washes, like, very selectively,
Yes.
like on certain things or in certain places. But doing the all over wash, like, I switched to, even when I do that, then I've switched to oil washes, because you are getting more of like it's only in the cracks and not necessarily shading the model, right? You're actually more like black lining, so it's a little different, but yeah.
And another thing is that if you are painting on the shadows, you know exactly what color the midtone is, exactly what color the shadow is, and if you want to clean something up later, you can just go, depending on how much mixing you did to get those original colors.
Fair.
But you can just grab that bottle of paint and fix up the midtone, or fix up the shadows, or slightly redefine where the border is. If you're using a wash, whatever color your model is after the wash dries on your Mini is not the base coat color, is not the color of the wash. Mixing your wash and your base coat color together will not get you something to touch up the hole you punched in your drywall. Like,
Oh man, yeah, I've tried so many times with that. Like there's a pool of wash on like a cape or something, and you go to wick it up, and it's dried just enough that now there's just a circular mark in that one spot, and it's like there's nothing you can do.
Right.
Like, you're screwed.
You're getting at 2 aspects there. So one, like we were just talking about, it is hard to clean up anything that you get from applying a wash.
Yeah.
Like unless that part of the model is just entirely getting covered with the highlights anyway.
Sure. In that case,
which often happens.
Great. Yeah. Fair.
But if there's just like it didn't dry quite right, or like or just a misstroke from some other color on the model, like you just accidentally got like a little bit of red on the green or whatever, and you go back to clean up the green, but you don't have that color anywhere because it's some weird combination of wash juice dried on top of your green base coat. Yeah. So it is harder to clean up a whatever the color is you get, wash plus base coat. And then the other thing is just there's an element of leaving it up to chance or to a higher power, a deity of some kind, what the effect looks like as the wash dries, especially on flat areas or like a cape, like you were just saying, Casey. And we learn through experience, we get a general idea of what tends to dry well and some of the do's and don'ts.
That's true.
But at the end of the day, it's just to take the wheel, Jesus. How is this wash puddle going to dry on my cape? Good luck.
Pretty much. Like, it's stupid because like you'd think that it would act kind of similar across like multiple models that have the same types of things, but it's just not the case, right? Like clearly, gravity. So things are going to settle in different places, and then it's going to be like, oh, it looks really good on this model, and now it doesn't on this model. Like you're really just hoping and praying that it's going to work out when you put a wash on. And I think that's really like the big defining, I think, like the line between painters that like kind of know what they're doing and the ones that actually know what they're doing are the ones that go, okay, I'm not going to leave anything up to chance. Right? I'm going to put something here and then I'll be able to do something about it if it's not quite right. But I can't take a wash back, right? Like there's no undo button for a wash other than painting over it.
Right.
And you don't want to, that just feels like a waste of time. I stopped washing faces and
That's
I started
a great example.
painting faces 10 times better.
Yeah. So on a face, generally the darker areas of the face are going to be eye sockets, on either side of the nose, under the chin, right under the nose. There's, a few spots on the face that you definitely want to have that darker shade or shadow color. And a lot of times the wash will dry in the eye sockets. Normally that happens.
Yeah.
But back when I was using washes on all of my faces, I remember there were some faces where just for whatever reason the wash would run out of the eye sockets and dry like on the cheeks or something.
Oh yeah.
And there were times when I got out a Q-tip and got out my little paint stripper and would like just clean off everything off of the face and start over.
Oh man, that's such a bad feeling too. Like, because usually you leave the face like for a way later step because you're like, I'm gonna put that off. I don't want to mess that up, And it's the worst feeling to have to like Q-tip off a face,
Yeah, and there were times where it would be, you're leaving it up to chance, and I'd literally be throwing the dice multiple times on the same face. I'm just like, okay, base coat it with a flesh tone, throw a darker wash on there. Dang it, again, I missed it again. Like, try again. And that's not a skill issue. That's not me trying to squint and get the pupil of the eye in the right place. That's not I need to like get some sleep and try again in the morning. That is the physical properties of the wash and the gods above betraying us.
Exactly. just messing with you just because. To see how many times you're gonna do that. Just look at this guy. He's gonna Q-tip that face up. It's gonna do the exact same thing. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Oh man. Actually, I started mixing Reikland Flesh Shade with Reikland Flesh Shade Gloss.
Okay.
And that, when you're talking about washing faces, stepped up my face washing game quite a bit.
Right. And that's so silly because that is that's not exactly a skill issue. Like, I guess there's a little bit of experience in there, but it's not exactly a painting skill.
No, and I think that's definitely a reason to not rely on it, because it's not a skill-based thing. Like, I mean, there are means to an end, right? Like, if you want to go through, do the base coat, do the wash, do some highlights, whatever, call it done, like, yeah, you're going to get a decent looking model. It's like, so there's no question about that. But in terms of like progressing forward and getting better, then you just set the washes aside for a minute, see what happens. Like,
agreed entirely.
Like, weirdly, when you talk about like doing the cheeks or all the shadows on a face or something, you're taking paint generally and you're watering it down so it's kind of like a wash, but you're making a glaze so that you can paint those things in and have more control. So it's weird because it feels like you're still using a wash, but you're not.
I mean, you can there are different ways to do faces. I mean, you can use fairly opaque paints, and that's how I've been starting my faces, is do a lighter flesh tone as like the mid-tone on the whole face, and then take a darker color and paint the eye sockets dark. Do a quick stripe along the edge of the nodes, the side of the nose, to add some definition there. But yeah, just being able to paint the eye socket dark without relying on the wash to dry where you tried to put it is a big step forward. And it is a painting plateau that I think I've been able to get past because I've just stopped using washes so often. And to reiterate what you were just saying, I mean, washes are a tool. They can be a very useful tool. There's tons of textures where I think that they are perfect. I mean, scales, a lot of times bone, hair, sometimes hair. It can dry in weird ways on hair. Sometimes depends on the hair. Like chainmail, like you start off with like a bright silver, then throw your Nuln Oil on chainmail. Wonderful.
That
go for it.
Pretty much always looks pretty good because it's like uniform circles that the wash is settling into, and it's like you can see it when it's not in there, and you can always put more in there if you have to, if you missed a chain link or something. So it's like you can get that specific, Yeah,
but like just depending on where a model is holding its arms and its legs, a very good rule of thumb: throw just a solid block of shadow in their armpit, solid block of shadow.
Not black.
No other way to say this, on their inner thighs, like the space between a model's legs is going to be shadowed, and you can put your shadow color in there, under the chin. Like there are places that are, it can still be formulaic. Like if you're not an artistic thinker, you can still think of like a checklist of where does the shadow go.
Well, I think that's why people like the zenithal highlight to start off with, right? Because you're kind of doing that so that if you use things like speed paints or contrast paints, you're gonna get that dark delineated line underneath something every single time because you didn't hit it with white paint, right? I mean, I think that's a good way to look at it. Although then you start getting into some weird territory of like, well, that's not where those things would be, and so sometimes that doesn't look good. And then it's like, well, should I stop doing the zenithal? Like, stop doing the washes? This is all sorts of things.
Yeah. Well, it's all tools in the toolbox, and the only point I'm trying to make is that a wash isn't the tool for every job, and I think it is a common stopping point for a lot of people in their painting development of getting good at using washes and then using it for every job.
Yeah. And
try to maybe not do that. See if you learn a little something, paint a little braver, and
man, when I started painting models, I didn't know what a wash was. I remember buying a bottle of blue ink like thinking this is some fancy tech I've never heard of, right? Because I had no idea. And it was like ballpoint blue ink coming out of this thing. And I remember painting it over like helmets and stuff and having this just bright blue, like seriously really bad looking stuff. And I'm like, this is what you're supposed to do with this stuff? I don't get it. And then I stopped painting like soon after that, right? For a long time. So when I came back into painting, and we're talking what, 5.5, 6-ish years ago at this point, I started painting basically from scratch. And I was like, washes are miracle juices.
Yes.
Like, I had never seen such a thing. Like, man, washes were just like, I can't believe I ever stopped painting. This is so easy. And I got stuck in that trap real hard. Like, it's almost like, like we need some kind of recovery program for washes. Like, I've been using Nuln Oil for 5 years, you know. It's no good. Can't stop. Yeah. I've spilled 20 bottles of that stuff. I take pictures of it on my social media every time. Feels terrible. Yeah.
It's an interesting topic because some of our listeners are going to be like, yeah, obviously you don't need to put wash on everything. Yeah, of course you can draw in your own shadows. Like, there are some obvious places where you can just paint in a darker color. But I think for a lot of people it's a hang up, or it's a crutch, or it's the one way that they know to mostly effectively do shading. Yeah. And it's such a simple point, but just you don't need to use wash on everything is a topic worth discussing, I think. So,
maybe a good way to put it is, if it's the only way that you know how to do it, maybe it's, even if it's just something you've just kind of gotten into, right? Just know that there are other ways that you should probably try. Yeah, I mean, that leads to a lot of other types of painting too, especially like the way that you paint is pretty different to the way that I paint generally. And I think you're more going towards that almost like comic book, like vibrant blocks of color.
I'm moving there. Yeah, I am. Yeah.
But like painting in a shadow and going, well, that's clearly a darker version of this other color, right? And then you do the highlight color. Now, if you just do that 100 times with smaller and smaller and smaller layers, then you have a really nice gradient of that exact thing. It's just getting better at using your paintbrush at that point and like purposely trying to go that far. Like, not that you even have to do that, but yeah, like I've definitely noticed that more and more lately too, of like layering things and how many steps of gradation that you put in, and like what a wash does compared to not using a wash, and like if you use an airbrush, and then how that affects how you're going to end up painting over the top of that. It's, I don't know. I've been thinking about these things a lot lately too. Yeah.
Well, that's what I've been working on, and it is a change that I've kind of made in my own painting over the last year or so, something like that. And I'm finally making a video. I don't know what I'll call it, but like permission to stop using washes, or you don't have to use a wash, or don't be a dingus and always use wash. It's a crutch and you're holding yourself back, you dingus. Yeah.
Something along those lines. I don't know. Because like, again, just because it needs to be said.
You stupid dingus PP people. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with using a wash. Like, really, there isn't actually anything wrong with it. I feel like we need to say that. It's okay. I get it. I get it.
All right, that's all I got to say about that. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's worth doing. So, if you've never done it, try it. See what happens. You might be surprised. Yeah. So I did get some, well, I haven't gotten them, but I ordered new paints, and we talked about it when I ordered them on Kickstarter, the drop paints from Scale 75. Yeah. And they've officially gotten shipped out. I don't have them because they're stuck in customs right now. They somehow think they're a dangerous explosive chemical product, and I don't know what Scale 75 put in drop paints as opposed to any of the other paints, but right now they're being held at customs until my paperwork
For all you know,
clears.
that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they changed. I don't know. I literally don't even know what they are. I bought like the little intro starter pack of it because I was just like, oh, I like their paints. This is a thing. I want to get more paints because I don't know. I have a problem, but I just thought it was interesting. I don't know if anybody else has had that problem. Like, I'm hoping it's not everybody because I got like a couple of different letters. I got like a letter from whatever the shipping company is, like FedEx or something, and then from somebody else, I got a different letter. It was like, hey, you need to like fill out this paperwork or you're not getting these. Like, oh, okay, well that seems kind of nuts. So hopefully I'm the only one. Of course, that would be terrible luck for me, but you know, seems like kind of a big thing if because it wasn't like a small Kickstarter. It's a lot of people that backed it, so I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll keep that as an ongoing update whenever those get here. But they did get shipped out.
So if you know any Americans who got themselves some drop paints, you let Casey know if you got them yet.
Just let me know if I got screwed over. Yeah.
Yeah. Casey will head on over to customs and have a little chat.
Well, it's like it's not even U.S. customs. It just hasn't even left the country yet.
Oh.
So I don't know why I'm filling out paperwork for this. Like, I'm not the one who shipped it.
You don't even speak Spanish.
Right. I don't know what's going on. They just told me to fill out this paperwork. And it's like, it's not a scam or anything. Like, I did look into it. It's not like it was fake or something.
Yo necesito preguntas? Pinturas? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, we'll see, I guess. Just in case somebody steals my identity. Just have record of this. Yeah, but I just thought it was interesting because I've never had that happen before. It seems super weird. I also backed another Kickstarter today or yesterday or something. Yeah. I've been really wanting to get like more kind of like, I mean, as many as possible paperback or hardback skirmish games just to have, because I don't know. I like the idea of someday, you know,
playing one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of them is gonna be the thing, even though like I already like some other stuff that's fine. Like I actually like Warcry and I like the Conquest skirmish game and I have played both of them and I have it's weird, but then I don't know, I feel like somehow there's gonna be this like perfect game and it's just gonna feel just right. Everything's gonna be fun all the time and I'm gonna want to like actually paint models for this system. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it's just like trying to keep this weird like light in the corner hope alive or something of I'm gonna find that one
just keep
game.
Buying.
Yeah,
just keep buying.
Yeah. So I backed the Forbidden Psalm, like Morkborg integrated, but not like it has a weird RPG element that you can put into it, but it doesn't matter. It's a skirmish war game. It just looks cool, honestly. So yeah, I backed it.
It's good to support the artists out there.
Yeah. Well, that's mostly it too. Like the actual book, the art is pretty awesome. So it was just like, well, sweet book for the shelf, and I don't know, could be the coolest game of all time, for all I know.
Got to get you to buy some Saga books. I like that Saga game. That seemed pretty good.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I should try that.
We would be here all day if we start listing small skirmish games, but there's some good ones out there.
That's certainly the idea. Actually, that's not. We should do that. We should list those games. I want to list those games because I want a list.
I'm sure it exists.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
That's out there. It's out there.
It's got to be out there. Is it out there? Let us know. At youtube.com/paintbravely, the podcast. Just leave us a comment. Let us know if there is a list of like good skirmish games. I don't none of that like drive through RPG PDF stuff. I want paperback or hardback like that I can buy physically.
Old bookshelf Casey, they call them.
Yeah. I don't have bookshelves, but I got a thing I can put it on over there.
The pile in the hallway has served us well for years.
Exactly. I can see it. It's right there. It's the same thing. It's the vertical shelf.
Got a system.
The floor. Yeah. I bought almost all of the Space Wolves codexes today. Yeah. Why are you like pinching your nose? Like I did
Space Marine bad. Casey, they call him.
Man, I don't know. There's something about those old Space Wolves. Like they're just so much better than other Space Marines. This aesthetically, they're more pleasing. They have other things on them. They got cool animal skulls, and they got like gold filigree runes. Okay. Runes. They got them. I'm telling you. I don't know. They look cool on my sweet display case shelf, and I'm happy with them. But mostly, I like to get the old codexes when they're cheap, because a lot of times, like, they really are cheap. Like I got like the 9th edition, which is the last edition of 40K, for $10 used. Okay,
it makes sense.
It's not $55.
They become basically worthless every 3 years. So there you go.
Yeah. So I mean, I spent $40 and I got
just go almost to all of like the dumpster at a tournament when the edition swaps over and
yeah, exactly. It's not a terrible idea. Just go around and ask people if they don't want their old codexes anymore.
Just big time.
Yeah. It's not a terrible. I mean, I don't mean me personally. I mean,
in general.
No, I just mean in general. Like, oh, hey, I'll give you $5. You don't want that old codex or something. I don't know. I like having the books for reference, because if I am painting up Space Wolves, then I want to get my old, 3rd edition supplement out and take photos and stuff of the stuff in the book to show as examples of what I'm trying to accomplish.
Sure. No,
so
I got
great.
You. Yeah.
So I just thought, well, I'm working on Space Wolves, and I checked, and they were pretty cheap. So yeah, I even got the 2nd edition one for like $14, and that one's pretty sweet. That's the old stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, judging me.
Sitting over there. Casey over there. Yeah.
Nah, I don't know. It sucks because I guess the point really is that you look at a lot of the Space Marines now, and they're like, oh, that's a whatever Space Wolf, and that's an Imperial Fist, and it's like you're just using the same model with a different color and a transfer. It's not physically different. The old Space Wolves ones, like, they had fangs. Their actual faces were different.
I'll give you that.
You know what I mean?
The models were actually different.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I just I suppose I haven't experienced that because I never bought into space. I don't play Space Marines. I don't do any of that Space Marine stuff, even though there's a whole other thing with Space Marines. But we'll get there eventually.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We got thousands of points of Space Marines for no reason, but we'll get there. But yeah, they're just, everything's so samey and boring and generic and stupid, and like even the old ones I painted not that long ago that I bought from the same eBay store. It's like, cool, they're not different. Like, they're literally not different. I had to go find stuff to make the one thing kind of different. And so, yeah, cool, I converted it. And I don't know, maybe that's what I'm missing. Maybe that's what people were doing back in the day. Although I never had that experience with Space Marines when I started playing in the 90s. Space Wolves were the only things that I remember, at least at that time, that were physically different. And now, looking back at these old models, it's like, man, these are still cool. They just are. don't know. So yeah, I bought all the codexes.
My man. Yeah, you find some good stuff on eBay. Yes, you do.
I try to, man. I did buy a really cool, what is it? Dark Sword miniatures. It's all pewter. They make some cool models. They actually have the Game of Thrones license. I think they still do for pewter minis. Like they're the only company that has that. It's weird. Yeah.
I don't know that one.
Okay.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, they have that, and I bought this kobold that is like wearing a robe and pulling out a sword, and he's all sneaky like. It looks cool. So I just found that for like $3.
We gotta paint more kobolds. We really do.
I looked. It's stupid. I went and I was like, oh, let's look for more kobold. Man, I'm gonna build a collection, and it's like, man, there's some trash models out there.
There are,
crap.
there are a lot of kobold minis out there.
Yeah.
And I take solace in that because there really are options. There's a lot of options.
Yeah. I mean, sifting through those options, unless I have some better keywords or company names, I'm not sure what to look for on eBay. Because there's some just
good
hot
kobolds, HQ kobolds,
what am I supposed
kobolds
to do?
in the style of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
we know some people who are good at keyword generation for fantasy art. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Do a collaboration with Shadiversity to generate you some keywords for shopping for kobolds.
Yeah.
His AI art skills can also be applied to just Google searches.
Isn't that a thing now? Like Google's they're pushing for AI search engines or something. I don't know. We're getting way off topic here.
No, this is fine. This is a minor note, but whenever I'm working on a thumbnail or whatever, I'm putting my models or pictures of my models into Microsoft PowerPoint.
Right.
And the image recognition has gotten scary good. I don't even remember like updating my PowerPoint in the last 4 years.
You haven't.
But, like,
it just knows you. Dude.
I put Gary, the skeleton who's playing the xylophones, a picture of this is a model from Twin Goddess Miniatures.
Yeah. I
put that picture into a PowerPoint document, and it does the alt text for what, like disability aid sort of thing. But it puts alt text for images, and man, it got it.
It was like skeleton playing
PowerPoint was like
xylophone.
A toy of a skeleton playing xylophones, and I was like,
what?
Oh. just mentioning, forget computers having brains. So like that's, you got it. You nailed it. Like I feel like if I put that picture in there a year ago, it just would have said like a colorful toy, or like it would have been like on the right path. But it was like a toy of a skeleton playing xylophone, and I was like, oh, well, at least I painted it well. Like, dang.
That makes you. That's interesting. I wonder what you could get away with.
It really makes you think, and it's been the case of almost any picture of a model that I've painted that I've put into PowerPoint, like the auto generation of the alt text for that image has been right on the money, and it's just, oh my goodness.
I mean, I get
computers these days, man.
Things are changing, man, with the old Chat GPT and AI. They just are. Yeah.
Now the computers also, like, somehow Microsoft PowerPoint probably stole my image of Gary the xylophone playing undead gnome bard, and probably took that image, put it into a dang database. And
I'm sure, I'm sure that is now in a database, because it's like, yes, this is what that is. So there, it will forever be
probably
there.
helping supreme artists like Shadiversity generate his underage women with swords that he likes to do, you know.
Yeah.
Have you not been on the internet recently?
No, I don't know what
that's
you're
the whole
talking
thing.
about.
Like,
God.
Okay,
like,
all right.
okay.
It's a terrible place, the internet.
Yeah, no, it's not good. Stay away from the artificial intelligence, I guess.
Get you every time.
Yeah. I wonder if AI could write me a good skirmish game. Maybe
Of course it could. Yeah. By write you a game, it would be like stealing phases from other games. Like all the notation and keywords would be directly mapped onto an amalgamation of other games. Yes, but yes, it could write you a game for easily. It could do it in seconds. Yeah.
I do wonder. Should try it. See what happens. Just saying.
I don't care, dude.
Yeah.
There's enough rules out there to read without a computer cutting and pasting them all together.
Oh, I know. Although you can't copyright rules, like actual rules systems. Can't do it.
Oh, lawyer Casey, they call him.
I'm just saying, like a dice rolling mechanic, right? Is like, what are you gonna? Oh, you can't roll the dice like that, or you can't want that outcome. You know what I mean? Like, you can say it however you want. It's like, well, if you need a 6 to hit, like, it is a 6 to hit.
That's an interesting question of defining the theft that the computer cutting and pasting other people's rule systems together is doing. Like, it's more of a yet to be seen how much of legally that is theft, but it's more of a moral sort of argument at this point. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's like wholesalely, like lifting parts and pieces of a bunch of games and putting it together. I mean, depending on how you did it, if it was like, well, I like the fact that there are, phases. Okay, cool. Like as just an idea.
Dude, if you just told ChatGPT to write you a skirmish game for a miniatures tabletop setting, it would have phases. It would have a keyword called cleave. It would have a keyword called flying. It would have a
right. So I'll tell it. Write me a skirmish war game for miniatures without phases and without dice. Now then we just get Yafsiga.
If the computer named it Yafsiga even. All right, we're done here, Casey. Like, it only found one thing to steal from, and so it just called it Yafsiga.
I gotta try
so
it.
far, there's only the one thing we can steal from, or they could just like anagram Yafsiga.
Yeah.
Fasiga.
It's stupid AI. It's like not big enough.
Gasifa. I don't know.
I'm
not good at anagrams.
No, it's the Yafsiga to turn it around, and you're good. Oh, that would be terrible. No, there are other games that use that, right? That the like playing cards as things.
Yeah, you get some Malifaux in there.
Yeah, I've never played Malifaux, but I didn't know they did that. So
they do. You get a combination of Yafsiga and Malifaux, and actually they use playing cards in completely different ways, I think. But yeah.
Sure. But they're using it instead of like doing things you could do with dice or whatever the case is.
Sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just saying. Well, I'm not going to do that. Clearly, like we've hit a wall. Yeah. All right. Thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. As always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Talk to you next time.